I know we've had a lot of church today, so I won't be long. I just wanted to share one story with you that came to mind this evening. A few weeks ago, we had a baptism at the new chapel out at Camp Vicakis. Of course, there's really nothing inside of it, but the chapel itself is finished, and we kind of did a makeshift, temporary iconostasis and altar area, and we had a beautiful baptism there one Saturday morning. It was probably about 11 o'clock in the morning. And as people were coming in, I think because they weren't used to the space and because it didn't really look like a church with nothing inside it yet, there was a good bit of noise going on. People happy to be out again. And so to try to restore some order so that we could begin the service, I said a couple words and said, it occurred to me that the Holy Spirit in some ways is like a deer. And that, we can't be too loud and make sudden big movements, or we scare away the deer, right? The Holy Spirit is something that comes to us in a still small voice, like we read in the Old Testament. And so, we wanted to draw the Holy Spirit into this church so that we could sanctify the waters and baptize this child. And if we look at the lives of the saints, the lives of the saints to me are characterized by this continual awareness and sensitivity to the Holy Spirit, to the presence of God. And their whole lives become not just within the church, but outside the church as well. There's a certain liturgical ethos to the way they act, to the way they live. There's a constant sensitivity to the Holy Spirit and an awareness that we don't want to drive the Holy Spirit away. We want to invite the Holy Spirit constantly into our presence. But to do that, we have to learn to be quiet and calm and still. And so I said this about the Holy Spirit being like a deer. And then at the end of the service, my daughter Phoebe came up to me and said, "Did you see the deers?" And I said, "No, what happened?" And she said, looking out the window in the middle of the service, and we're talking about 11:30 in the morning, and it was getting quite hot out at Camp Vicakis, 3 deer came up out of the woods, up to the chapel, really close to the chapel, and were staring in the window of the church looking at the baptism. And Phoebe, and I don't know who else, looked out and saw them staring back at us, and they were quite close to the church. And I thought, what a wonderful symbol, what a wonderful sign from God that once we quieted down and started to pray for the Holy Spirit, it approaches, it comes. So I just thought of that, as we celebrate tonight and ask for the Holy Spirit to come down upon us. We're not like some more exuberant Christian groups where we will have big displays. I was thinking earlier this morning about one long time ago I attended for research a Pentecostal church, and it was much like this, and it started out normal and quiet, and within half an hour there was a young man barking like a dog, jumping over pews, vaulting over people in the pews. And it was just total chaos. And of course, this for them was the Holy Spirit. But if we look at our tradition, we don't have that same understanding. The Holy Spirit doesn't act in these big, wild ways like this usually. It comes to us in quietness. So, as we conclude this evening, and then tomorrow morning we'll gather again for the Divine Liturgy, let's find that calm and peace and stillness in our soul so that we can invite the Holy Spirit, that still small voice, to speak to us again. And let's have that awareness that the saints have, that liturgical ethos, that this constant sensitivity to the Spirit, that we're not doing anything to scare it away. That always, when we're in the church, all the actions that we do in the church, the way we move in the church, the way we sit in the church, the way we venerate an icon, the way we cross ourselves, all these things are done with reverence because there's this sensitivity to the Holy Spirit. We don't want it to run away from us. We want it to feel welcome. So this is This is why we gather as the church. This is why we act the way we do, because we want the Holy Spirit. As Father Paul said in the sermon this morning, that is the goal of our life, to acquire the Holy Spirit. And God is always giving us the Holy Spirit out of his great mercy and compassion. We only have to open up and accept it, not scare it away. So this is something to keep in mind. Let's be like the saints. Let's have this constant sensitivity, not just in the church, especially in the church, but not just in the church. Let's have this constant awareness of the Holy Spirit always trying to fill us. So God bless you. May you have a peaceful evening. And if you're able, we hope you join us tomorrow morning for liturgy.